What's going on, Saints fans? We're going to be getting into a mailbag where you guys are asking questions as a part of our weekly live show on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Central Time. So if you guys miss the live show, if you guys don't get your questions answered, I encourage you to hit me up on social media. I'm not too big to where I'm not going to respond to what you guys got to say. If you guys post and tag me, or if you hit me up in the DMs, I'd obviously love to respond and chop it up with you guys, and I want to get connected with more Saints fans out there. So feel free to hit me up on X, Instagram, or TikTok. It's at TraceGerard48 on all three platforms. The links to those profiles are in the comment section and description of this video to make it easy for you. Let's dive into the YouTube comment section and see what you guys got to say. Griffin saying, what would it take to get a JaMarr Chase trade done? So, Mikey Taylor, if you're watching, I'm sure you love this question. I'm going to be honest. You're going to have to send Chris Olave, Marshawn Lattimore, and at least a first-round pick. They're not going to trade JaMarr Chase. I don't think in any world that Bengals would trade JaMarr Chase. Unless it just got too out of hand and they didn't want to deal with his stuff anymore. But he doesn't strike me as somebody who would be like that. But in case you guys wanted to see what JaMarr Chase in a Saints uniform would look like, my girlfriend makes jersey swaps, and I post them on my social media accounts, so go check them out on Twitter. But Mikey Taylor, he wanted to see JaMarr Chase a while back in a Saints uniform, so we got it for him. I think he actually looks pretty good in the black and gold, but I want you to predict it for me. Will JaMarr ever leave the Bengals? It'd be pretty cool to get him back in Louisiana, but I just don't see a world where the Bengals are going to let him walk or let him get traded away. So just give me a leave or stay in the comment section and let me know what you think. And as we get on with the rest of the mailbag, I need your help, because every subscriber we gain on this video alone is one touchdown next season. So let's run it up. Let's run it up to 100 touchdowns. How does 700 points over the course of the season sound? How does 700 points over the course of the season sound? Yeah? Let's do it. Let's get 700, or let's get 100 subs, because that's 700 points. Of course, you got to make all the extra points. Blake Grupe was good on extra points. He's perfect, so that's why I'm counted as 7. But let's run it up. You see what I'm doing. Sub, so we can get some tutties, and so you can get more coverage. Adrian Wolf saying, Resign Jameis Winston, hashtag Saints, hashtag future Super Bowl champs. I'd love to bring J-Bo back, man. He went on the Pardon My Take podcast, and he talked about his future, and he said that he just has this hunger to be a QB1, and he wants to lead a team to the Super Bowl. That's what his dream is, and I don't blame him for wanting to chase his dreams. If he does leave in free agency, I wish him nothing but the best, but I think that he does bring a lot of value if the Saints do look to keep him and bring him back. I think that it would be a good move to bring him back and keep him in the locker room. And at the end of the day, I think that Jameis embodies the city of New Orleans, and I think the city of New Orleans embodies Jameis Winston. So that's just my thoughts on it, and that's all I got to say about that. I would love to see Jameis back in New Orleans. LZ21, we should trade back in the first round for Marius Mims, pick up some extra picks, and then go quarterback round 2 and then edge. See, my only problem with this is there's a few of them. Marius Mims, admittedly, I haven't done enough homework on. I'm high on Talise Fuaga and J.C. Latham and Joe Alt. Those are my 3 offensive tackles that I want the Saints to try and draft. I also don't think the Saints would draft a quarterback round 2. You're rolling with Derek Carr. You traded draft picks last year to move up to get Jake Haener. So you have a quarterback 2 in the shadows ready to roll. And I think edge rusher is a pretty big need. Cam Jordan's not getting any younger. I would actually go draft offensive line in round 1 or edge rusher, whichever one you can get the better player out of. And then round 2, go the other and get a guy like Tyler Guyton or something in the second round, or, a Chop Robinson in the second round. I will say this: if you do address offensive line in free agency, then you can use those picks to be a little bit more flexible with addressing your needs. So just something to think about, but I do appreciate your question, LZ. Thank you for asking and chiming in. Nico Canada, what's up, brother? Thank you for tuning in as always, and thank you for your super chat. What do you think about our finances? Is it time to stop kicking the can down the roads? So I'm gonna do the cop out here. I'm gonna play both sides of the fence because I do think that there's pros and cons of both sides of doing it. One, you can keep kicking the can down the road because the salary cap is just going to keep increasing. Two, I don't think the Saints are going to get to a Super Bowl with that or like by kicking the can. Like I think at some point they're just going to have to hit the hard reset and just get rid of some of those assets, get rid of some of those contracts, draft, stock up on picks, and just move forward. I don't hate the kicking the can down the road. They clearly make it work every single year. But the finances got to get worked out, man. It is just like I'm tired of entering every offseason in the red. And I'm tired of also not knowing that you can't go and get a guy like a Chris Jones or a Brian Burns or a Josh Allen, the edge rusher, or like a Payton, a T. Higgins. Like I hate that the Saints are never in the market for those kind of players. So I do think at some point you got to stop pushing off the inevitable. But by the same token, the salary cap does increase every year, and if you just keep kicking it, then what are you going to do? But think about it. Contracts are also going to keep getting more expensive. But you know what's not going to get more expensive is Prize Picks. If you go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and plug in promo code CLNS, you get a $100 deposit match on your first deposit. And if you want to do one of these really cool promos, I love Prize Picks because not only can you win real money in real time, you also can do they have like all these cool promos. They got Taco Tuesday. They got one with Patrick Mahomes for half a passing yard. But like they also have this really cool celebrity promo where you can just ride with a celebrity and take their picks. So Andrew Schultz, for example, one of my favorite comedians, by the way, he has more on Patrick Mahomes' passing yards. He has more on Travis Kelce's receiving yards. Clyde Edwards-Helaire more than half a rushing or receiving touchdown. I also have that in my personal projections as well. And then Christian McCaffrey less than 90, I think it's 90 or 80 and a half rushing yards, but he's taken McCaffrey on the less. So if you want to use these picks, if you want to fade them, if you want to just make your own picks, just do a Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Plug in promo code CLNS for that $100 deposit match. Shout out to Prize Picks. It's daily fantasy sports made easy. All right, kicking it to NOLA legend. The Saints should trade for Justin Simmons. Marcus Maye ain't it. So, one, what are you giving up to get? I'm interested. This definitely is something that I'd kick the tires on. What's the trade compensation going to be? That's one. And two, why not maybe go and draft somebody that's cheaper and, doesn't have as much, or that isn't as, here he hasn't been around as long. That's what I'm trying to say. He's experienced, which is a good thing, but he has been around for a while. Justin Simmons is a good football player. He's really, really good. That's why I'm curious as to what you would need to give up. I'm just also kind of in the boat of he's going to be expensive. Sean Payton might try and fleece, or not might, he will try and fleece you. And I think that the Broncos value him as a player. But in terms of them getting under the cap because they are in the red as well, this could be a move that frees up. This is a move that does free up a lot of space. So could the Saints be buyers? I'm not sure about it, but I do think that a team could trade for Justin Simmons. He's a good player too, so would be getting a good player. U.S. champ, going to him. Do you think the Raiders and Broncos game will be personal next year? Yes and yes. First game against Sean Payton. First game, Derek Carr against the Saints. Both of those will be very personal. Saints need to bring it both of those games. Honestly, if you lose both of those, it's pretty embarrassing because then both teams got the last laugh. Just saying, you better win those two games. Like if you win, you got to, in my eyes, you only have to win a handful of games. Let's count them together. Raiders and Broncos. Beat the Falcons twice because F the Falcons. Beat the Panthers at least once. Beat the Bucks at least once. Just win those 7 and you're sitting pretty. Just win those 7, you're sitting pretty. Just in terms of the rest of the season. You just got to win those. But yes, those will be very personal games. Jeremy Gates, with the wide receiver class being stacked this year, do you grab the best that you can at 14 or do you dress edge or offensive line first? I'm going to go offensive line first. I think that is a position that needs to get much better and better quicker. I will say this, you can add an offensive lineman in free agency, or you can address it in free agency while drafting edge rushers. I think that's also a route you can go. So it just depends on where you address what needs in free agency. Like, for example, last year, the Saints went and added Nathan Shepard and Colin Saunders as defensive tackles and drafted Brian Brzee because they needed defensive interior. They need defensive edge help or defensive end help now. So I would go offensive line and edge rusher with your 2 first picks. But if you adjust or if you address those those needs in free agency, then it gives you the ability to go and draft somebody and like a wide receiver at 14 or in the second round. So I think that's something that's interesting and something that we should definitely keep an eye out for. But my 2 biggest draft needs, offensive line, defensive line. And guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us and tuning in to today's video. If you haven't already, I encourage you to subscribe for more content, more coverage every single day throughout the offseason. As always, we appreciate everyone who's hanging out with us. Y'all stay golden. We'll see you next time.